All right, everyone, we have more good news. Finally, we might be phasing out the US penny because it takes more than 2 cents to create a cent. This makes no sense. You see what I did there. I agree with this decision fully. Trump is attempting to get the penny phased out. He's commanding the U.S. Mint, just stop making them. Nobody uses them. They're not necessary. All you have to do is adjust pricing so that 5 cents is the lowest denominator. There's no reason to denominate it further because inflation has taken such a toll that at this point a little tiny piece of zinc, which is what a penny is fundamentally goddamn worthless. Now, this follows on the heels of so many examples of currency being problematic. I support creating coins. I like coins. I collect them. I've got a huge collection. I'd love to show some of it off sometime. That would be a long-ass video, though, since I've got coins from over 100 different countries, a bunch of old pennies and nickels and all of this other stuff. I've been collecting them for years, and I used to have an even bigger collection when I was a kid, back when it was less expensive to collect them. And my mom used to work in Woodstock. It's a touristy town. You get a lot of foreign coins mixed in with the American coins. And so, you just sort of trade it out and then pocket it. Got currency, I think I've even got North Korean currency, actually. Technically speaking, I'm violating North Korean law, I believe. Got paper bills. I've got literally a Confederate $20 piece, actually, that was sent by a subscriber. I've got coins from all over the place. One time, funny story, I found an old, and it's about this big around, that somebody will say I'm a Nazi for doing that, an old Australian penny from the 1930s in a creek during a field trip. I'm assuming that somebody tossed it in there for good luck. Sorry that I stole your luck away. It seems to have been helpful. But there have been multiple controversies. I support this completely. Think about, for example, the availability of $1 coins. Never really has taken off in the United States. They've tried over and over again. Since the Eisenhower dollar, which was enormous, you really haven't had any successful attempts to create a dollar coin. They tried with the Susan B. Anthony dollar. I had a huge I had like 60 or 70 of those before I was forced to liquidate them at one point in order to help pay airfare to get back to UVM. That was a sad day for me, by the way. Then they had the Sacagawea dollar. That did a little bit better. They're still in circulation, although I don't think that they're minting them anymore. They've failed repeatedly. Don't even get me started about the quarter redesign and how stupid that looks compared to the old ones. Should have left it alone. The US Mint needs to be reined in. Go back to the classic look of these coins and just keep it that way. Freeze it all for the next 100 years. Don't bother changing the design. As inflation mounts and attrition builds, just, start eliminating the lower level coins or redenominate them or something like that. It's like the Buffalo nickel, way better than the newer nickels. Even though I like Thomas Jefferson a lot, I think that they look better. They probably shouldn't have bothered redesigning it. I've got several dozen of those, I think. When you think of the steel penny. During World War II, they needed the copper in order to make munitions. Basically a penny's worth a bullet, at least back when it was actually copper instead of a thin, I don't even know if they still use copper lining on zinc. And so they were trying to requisition the pennies, and they were issuing steel pennies. And apparently there's a very, 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 very rare steel penny that they have never found an example of. There was one batch that was made during one particular year. I can't remember which year it was. But if you ever find any steel pennies, look that up because it might be worth probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is the ludicrous part. It's funny how older coins especially are typically worth more than their actual numismatic value. For example, if you have a Liberty Walking, it's worth more than $1. just pointing that out. If you have a sheaf like 50 wheat ear pennies, the amount of numismatic value is 50 cents. You can go into a store and, well, you can't really buy anything with 50 cents anymore, so it doesn't really matter. The level of copper in it, though, is high enough so that it's probably worth, I don't know, 15 bucks, maybe 20. I don't know what the price of copper is right now. It's worth a lot more than 50 cents, though, I'll tell you that much. We've had so many. Mercury dime. My favorite coin of all time, by the way. The Mercury dime. I've got a bunch of those. I wish I had like a million of them. I would just pile them in a stack and admire them for hours. Most aesthetic coin, in my opinion, of all time. Did you know that it's technically misprinted? When they issued the Mercury dime, the little wings that are on the head of the lady on the that wasn't supposed to be there, actually. It was not supposed to be Mercury at all. Somehow that slipped through and they just kept printing it because they're like, shit, we made a mistake. Let's quietly cover this up. I believe in the death of the penny. These days, the biggest use of a penny is basically that when you're at a museum or at an aquarium or something like that, you put the penny in the little machine and then you can spin it around and it flattens it out and it puts an imprint on it. You know, like the Boston Aquarium. Got some from, I think, the Audubon Zoo and stuff like that. That's what you use a penny for. You can't really use it for any other reasonable purpose. It's not really possible. The hell are you going to buy with a penny? There used to be penny candy way back in the day. To all you young whippersnappers out there. Used to be that if you had 50 pennies in your pocket, you could get a piece of cheese. You know, one of those little Cabot bars. Actually, I think they were 35 cents. Or a piece of fruit. Or you get some candy or something. 50 cents? Haha, is good joke, comrade. You go to Gulag last. Now you're probably paying $2 for the same thing. So the penny is fundamentally useless. It should be phased out. It's just a waste of resources anyway. What's the point? I mean, you know, you pay like $2.93 for something and you're using a few pennies maybe. The only people that use pennies anymore are little old ladies that carefully count out the change at the counter and take 10 minutes to check out. That's usually for some minor purchase too. Oh, don't worry, I think that I have the change in my purse. Nobody else uses them. Half of the world now uses digital currency only. Tap to pay or something like that. I tend to use my debit card for most of my purchases. I do use cash still, and I support its existence. I don't want to phase out cash. Don't get me wrong. I'm not claiming that. I'm a libertarian. It would be averse to my religion. But I do believe in phasing out the penny because it's just stupid. How about this? Denominate everything by fives. There's a great song by the Horrors called Countin' Fives. You should listen to it, by the way. I count in fives, I do it every time. If you give me too many, I will not comprehend. It's, I guess, an OCD song. I actually am kind of the same, like with my oddity with regards to drinking beverages, where I'll only take an odd number of gulps. I have a little bit of OCD. Fucking sue me. Who cares? Maybe the nickel should be the lowest denomination at this point? Hell, I mean, the nickel's no longer made of nickel. Used to be called a nickel for a reason. That dream died long ago, I think around the 1970 mark or something like that. Now it's just zinc, the same as the penny. The penny, as far as volume, there's no reason for it to exist. It makes absolutely no sense. If anything, if you're going to issue coins, just print them out of nothing but zinc. Don't bother coating them. Don't adulterate them. Keep them pure in case we have a zinc shortage. At least you'll be able to melt some of them down. And just call it a day. We need to be able to make change, but the penny is not meaningful anymore. We should switch to a count in five system for our currency. So Trump is fundamentally correct. The U.S. Mint should stop making pennies. Nobody's using them except people that are like over 70, and people that collect them like I do. Yeah, I've got a bunch of old wheat ear pennies, probably 300 or 400 of them, but, you know, that was back when they were actually made of copper. Probably worth quite a bit, you know, and, some of them are highly collectible. Depends on the year, depends on the condition. I know quite a bit about coins. You might have noticed that I'm a little obsessed with the topic. That's because as a child I obsessed over it, sort of like geography or plants and things like that. Fascinating. Yeah, Trump is making another good decision. I suggest that the U.S. Mint follow through with the idea. That's about all. Peace out.